I think if we don't get anything next turn, we can just kind of cheese ourselves with the food tokens. That should be great for us. Okay, so we'll do it this way. Gain some life back. Gain some life back. I think this should be fine here. Big swing. Do you block, opponent? You're tapped out completely. They do. Okay, here we go. This is what we waited for. Sacrifice a food. Gain 4 life. Sacrifice another food. Big pump here, everybody. That's what I'm talking about. We got there. It's with the food, everybody. Woo! Hello, my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the hottest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tech, we're going to continue our deep dive into Standard to see how exactly MTG Foundations has made a difference for the format. So, without further ado, join me today to help us revive a classic deck archetype in mono white. Let's gain life. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content. You can support me monthly for a small amount on Patreon, where I have all of my extended bonus footage posted. We also have a Redbubble spot where you can buy merch like stickers and shirts, or for free, all you can just do also is just join our growing community on Discord. Your support helps keep this channel going. All links are in the details below. Longtime viewers of the channel know how we do it. We have to talk about the stats of the deck before we dive right in. So our life gain deck today is going to have an average mana curve about 2.1. It's obviously all mono white, and we're looking at a total of 32 creatures, 8 enchantments, and only 20 lands. Mono White Life Gain is a classic deck archetype that is tried and true, and we're going to see if we can pull it off today. As you see, we're going to be trying to get a bunch of creatures onto the battlefield. We'll gain a ton of life to then pump up a couple of key creatures to be super big, or we can get a bunch of tokens out to go super wide. We pump up everything and then smash our way through victory to overwhelm our opponent. But is this tried and true simple strategy still even possible in 2024?
Yes. That's it.
And I'll be showing you that right now. Starting in the 2-drop slot is where our strategy begins, with Healer's Hawk here, Hinterland Sanctifier, and Leonin Vanguard. Each one of these provides life in different ways. The Healer's Hawk has flying and lifelink, so it'll be easy damage in the early game. Hinterland Sanctifier, a brand new card from Foundations, where another creature enters, we will gain 1 life. And Leonin Vanguard also returning to us from Foundations, where it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, as long as we have 3 or more creatures, it'll get a little +1/+1 pump, and also will gain us 1 life. Hey everyone, sorry for the quick little edit that I had to squeeze on in here, but someone informed me that there was actually a card that I kind of overlooked that actually should be in the deck instead of Healer's Hawk here. And that's going to be Ruin Lurker Bat, which does the exact same thing as Healer's Hawk, but also it is uncommon. So if you can't afford them, just throw in Healer's Hawk. It's not a big deal. But if you do want at least that rare off chance that you can descend, then throw in Ruin Lurker Bat. Either way, both of them do the exact same thing. Just again, Ruin Lurker Bat does one small extra thing that rarely triggers off, but sometimes can be helpful when it does happen. Okay, back to the main video. The 2-drop slot is again where the real fun begins. So another tried and true classic, we have a Johnny's Pridemate here. Anytime we gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Simple enough, but it will get very big and very quickly out of control if our opponent does not have an answer for it. But the real star here is our brand new souped up version of a Johnny's Pridemate in Essence Channeler. So let's talk about this card for just a moment and why it's different. So Essence Channeler is a 2/1 Bat Cleric, and it's also a 2 mana, but as long as we've lost life this turn, the Essence Channeler will have flying and vigilance, and anytime we gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. If this creature does die, you put counters on to target creature we control. So put it another way, this has a ton of backup built into it, so it'll get big like a Johnny's Pridemate, but it can put the counters on something else if it dies, and if we do lose some life before we even swing, this will have flying and vigilance, so it's a very easy card to just do a lot of damage, but against our opponent there. In the 2-drop slot to round it also out, we'll also have Helpful Hunter. This cute, adorable, cute little kitty cat here just enters and helps us draw a card. Going into the 3-drop slot is again, we'll have some more backup here to help us go wide and also gain some life. Cat Collector here, when this enters, we create a food token, and anytime we gain life for the first time each of our turns, we get a 1/1 white cat creature token. So this will help us again go bigger, this will help us go wider with everything, just pumping up the whole team. And then finally in the 3-drop slot, we'll have Inspiring Overseer here. Another simple card where it just enters, it helps us draw a card, and helps us gain 1 life. Circling back over to the non-creature spells in the 2-drop slot, we'll have Skrelv's Hive here. For those of you who haven't been aware of this card, it's it's actually an extremely powerful card and perfectly synergistic for our game plan. So let's talk about this card for just a moment. Skrelv's Hive here is a 2-mana enchantment that reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. However, if you trigger the Corrupted ability, which means as long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters on it, creatures you control with Toxic will also have lifelink. So this will do a couple of things in our deck. It'll help us slowly go wide, and although we will lose 1 life, we have tons of life gain, so that doesn't really hurt us. However, we would kind of want to lose life for one main reason. As I mentioned earlier, Essence Channeler will get Flying and Vigilance if we've lost life this turn. So when it creates that one cute little token here, this not only means our bat will go flying, but also it'll do a lot of damage in the air, and we also can protect ourselves on the backswing. If we manage to somehow trigger off the credit ability, that's just extra gravy on top of our already sweet game plan. And finally, to round it out, in the 4-drop slot, but you kind of don't want to actually cast this, and I'll explain why in just a second here. It's Leyline of Hope. So let's talk about this card also for a moment here because it is very important to our game plan. Leyline of Hope is a 4-mana enchantment that reads, if the Hope is in your opening hand, you could put it onto the battlefield for free. And if you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. And finally, as long as you have at least 7 or more life than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. So this is again where our finisher, I should say actually our beginner, if you will come into play at the start of the match, and then we can just pump up our whole team, get a ton more life even faster to overwhelm our opponent. As far as your land base is concerned, it's as simple as can be because we are in standard and we are on a budget. So it's going to be 19 whole planes and 1 copy of Fountain Port here. Fountain Port is something that you really shouldn't underestimate for this deck because, again, we have tons of tokens to utilize to sacrifice and draw cards we need to in a pinch. Paying the 1 life also will still trigger off Essence Channeler, so that's very synergistic. And also, very rarely, you can also create a treasure token. Not too often you need to do that with this deck because usually you have enough lands as is to cover everything you need to cast. And of course, if you do want to take this into best of 3, here's my recommendations for the sideboard. So we're going to have a whole set of Lauren's Escape here. This is mostly if you're going to be dealing with a lot of spot removal and wraths against your opponent here, so throw those in to give your creatures hexproof and indestructible, and the Scribe one is just helping us fix our next draw. Requisition Raid here is going to be your artifact and enchantment hate, but also you can pump up your entire team with the spree mechanic, so you can use that at any point in the game. Soul Guide Lantern will be your catch-all as always for Graveyard Hate. Case of the Gateway Express here can be extra pump if you need to, and also pseudo removal depending on if your opponent throws out a bunch of big creatures. If there are certain things that you don't want to block, you can bring in Ossification as well, just to then put it on one of your lands, then exile something you don't want to deal with, or Planeswalkers. And then finally, if you do need mass protection for your whole deck, you can bring in copies of Make a Stand here, which gives all of your creatures +1/+0 and indestructible until end of turn. But now that I have the whole deck type completed for you, the simple question we need to ask ourselves is it possible for Mono White Lifegain to still be successful in Standard in 2024?
Good question.
Well, there's only one way to find out, so let's go ahead, let's take this deck into Standard, and let's see how well it does. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. Can we gain some life in Standard? And the good news is, we do have at least a couple lands here, and we do have a lot of enablers to start getting all that life. So, I think this should be a good hand for us to get this gameplay going. Opponent's got a Swamp. Dreams of Steel and Oil. Wow, actually people are playing this card? I haven't been playing Standard for a while, so I'm pretty much out of the loop here. We're going to probably lose one of our life gain, but we have plenty of ways of still bouncing back, so our opponent's going to have to spend a lot of cards if they want to get rid of everything here. Okay, well that's fine. Plains, we will play Hinterland Sanctifier. So if I'm guessing our opponent might have removal for that now coming up. Tap land. Dreams of Steel and Oil, again. Alright, opponents, of course, has the right hand for us against our whole game plan. But we can still find a way to get there. So here's how we do this. Leonin Vanguard, gain some life. Leonin Vanguard number 2, gain some life. Gain some more life. Swing, they're down to 19, we're up to 24. So, if our opponent is going to try to strip our hand, they're now going to have to make a tough decision. Deep Cavern Bats. They'll keep stripping our hand, but it's perfectly fine because we still have enough on the field. We're going to have to keep pressuring our opponent here. Cat Collector's not bad either. So, Healer's Hawk. Gain some life. Gain even more life. We're up to 27. We swing. Alright, opponent. I mean, we're still going to start stripping away your life there, but we're still plenty insulation.
Huh?
We just need at least one more. Oh, come on, opponent. Really? You have this entire hand that's just based around this? That's beyond annoying. But even so, opponent can only stall so much with all this removal. Because we will get there with what we have. Hinterland Sanctifier again. Gain more life. I mean, we're at 30 life right now, so we're pretty well insulated. Our opponent's also pretty much down to 2 cards, and they're now down to 8, up to 31 on our end, even though we don't have a hand at this point. Liliana of the Veil. Most likely it's going to tick down.
Something suspicious is going on.
Yep. That's okay. We'll lose just 1 bunny. Wow, our opponent actually swung. I'm surprised. So they go back up to 10. Well, we could take out that Liliana now, no problem. We gain some life back. I'm assuming our opponent has to have some kind of removal, so we'll still do 2 swings at Liliana, and the rest goes to face. There it is. The cut down really was in hand. Not surprised. They lose Liliana, but we're still at 32 life, and they're down to 8. Another tap land. Wow, opponent is going to just keep swinging here, but okay. I mean, that's pretty much all they can do at this point. Ooh, a Johnny's Pride Raid is really nice here. So, let's see, can they turn this on? They can turn it on, but they can't, it'll be tapped. So here's our big finisher. Unless if our opponent has 1 more removal card in hand, we should be able to then just start going off here pretty quick. Now we're talking. Classic life gain. There we go. That's what we want to see. Now it's out of cut down range, which is great. We'll swing here. Opponent, do you have more removal? They do. Terror Sunder. Really? They used it on there? They didn't use it on the Pride Mate? I'm surprised. Okay, I mean, that's a choice, opponent, if that's really what you want to do. Demolition Field does nothing against us. Still swinging. Down to 31, back up to 10 for them. Well, there's a Plains finally, although we don't really need it at this point. Swing here. Do they turn on their Restless Cottage? They do. I mean, okay, if they want to, they can block. So they lose their creature land, but we still keep pumping it up. I mean, unless you got some kind of removal top decking opponent at this point, I think we should be good to go here. Our opponents are now going to have to start blocking, which is great for us. Down to 30. Wow. Okay. I mean, this is literally just a game of attrition that we're going to win here very quickly. The Pride Maid. Wow. 5 years later, this card is still doing work. I'm actually really impressed. Okay, Healer's Hawk coming in. Gain more life. Oh my goodness. Classic Magic, everybody. You have to block at this point, opponent. There's really no other option. Either that or you can always just quit the match. I mean, either way, I'll take it. Okay, double block. That's cool. This is fine. I'll take my cards back. Thanks again for holding on to them, opponent. Gain some more life, sure. We're just pumping up it like crazy. Unless if you have a Wrath opponent, we have got this one won. What's your last card? Nope, you've got nothing. We took it, everybody. Yes, life gain. Still holding it down. Still a classic archetype that can handle its own even today. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. Can we gain a bunch of life in standard? Well, the good news is we do have now the Leyline in hand, so we will definitely get a pump eventually. We have some Leonin Vanguards, some other kitty cats, and a Skrell's Hide to start pumping everything up. I think we can get there with this. This should be great. All right, the hope is down. We will put down our first of our life gain creatures. We can get one more 1-drop. This will be perfect. Tap land. Fountain Port will be nice for later.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
So with that, we will play... How do we do this here? I guess... Skrell's Hive. We'll lose life early on, but we will gain it back very quickly. Iridescent Vine Lasher. Ooh. That might slow down our life gain a bit, but it won't be that bad. Interesting, though. They're actually playing Golgari with Lizards. That's kind of cool, though. All right, Plains. So with that, we will play... How do we do this here? I guess... Play the kitty cat first here. Gain draw a card. Leonin Vanguard. Gain a bunch of life back. Back up to 22. Nice. Down to 17 on our opponent there. All right, opponent. Our engine is growing now. Deep Cavern Bats. Aw, that means we're going to lose our bunny. Okay. Well, annoying, but that's okay. We'd still have the advantage here pretty easily because they have a ton of tap lands. They will ping us, but that won't matter too much against us. Ooh, Cat Collector is nice too. So, Plains, Cat Collector, making kitty cats and tokens. Very nice. Here we go. Now we're talking. All right, so up to 23. Swinging big here. Blocking, of course, there. They're down to 12, though. And we're up to 23, so if we gain a little bit more life, we will be set. And we also have at least one food token to kind of just make this quicker. I do like what our opponent is doing here. This is actually kind of a neat deck that they have. We push ourselves back down to 20, 19, ouch. Okay, down to 18. Ooh, okay, so this should help us get all that life back that we keep losing. There we go, much better. 22, up to 20 actually. Okay, 22. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So, same with our cards here. Just those. Do you block opponent? They don't. We're down to 10 for them. We're still up to 22, so we are making a ton of progress here. I think if we don't get anything next turn, we can just kind of cheese ourselves with the food tokens. That should be great for us. Our opponent is getting lucky, though, with those Festering Gulches because they keep pinging us, and it's kind of annoying. But I do give them at least props for at least having something very unique. I haven't seen a deck like this before, so this is cool. Pillage the Bog. What is our opponent going to try to cheese? Virtual Persistence. Okay. Well, we lose one cap lady, but that's okay. Okay, so we'll do it this way. Gain some life back. Gain some life back. Okay, if I do the math correctly, I think this should be fine here. Big swing. Do you block opponent? You're tapped out completely. They do. Okay, here we go. This is what we waited for. Sacrifice a food. Gain 4 life. Sacrifice another food. Big pump here, everybody. That's what I'm talking about. We got there. So with the food, everybody. Woo! Oh my goodness, that actually worked. Oh man. Sneak attack their opponent. Don't underestimate the food and the life gain of this deck. Oh man, that was a beautiful win. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. Can we get there with our life gain? Well, the good news is we have plenty of lands and we have plenty of ways to build up everything. And, of course, we have the Ley Line of Hope in hand. So, put that on the field, opponent. Yeah, you're going to be dealing with a lot of life gain in just a few moments. All right, tap land, Undercity Sewers. Okay, so what is our opponent playing? Based off of that, counter spells, removal, I guess we'll find out in a bit. Plains, Leonin Vanguard coming down. I don't know if that's going to stick, because I'm assuming they have to have some kind of removal. But we'll be fine, because we do have ways of still building up an army of things. Hopeless Nightmare. Okay. I guess we'll throw away the Inspiring Overseer. Go down to 18. We'll play Fountain Port. Skrell's Hive. Swing first. Down to 19. Okay, so our opponent may be some kind of control, discard deck. I guess we'll see. Phyrexian Flesh Scorcher. We make a token there. Another Plains. Cat Collector. We'll gain some life. Make another token. No attacks. Okay, so... Okay, they swing. Do we block with anything? Most likely not. We can gain that life back quickly, so it's not a big deal for us. Phyrexian Flesh Scorcher number 2. Lose life down to 15. Okay, so with that, Plains. Gain some life back. Make another token. No attacks yet. Fountain Port will be helpful in a little bit here.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
Okay, we can only make the token on our turn here. Okay. Pay 1 life. We'll make a token. We will block 1 Flesh Scorcher. We'll get those tokens back, so that's not a big deal for us. But we can at least slow down our opponent here. They go up to 28. Interestingly enough, they actually have more life than us, despite the fact that we're the life gain deck. Alright. 2 Leonin Vanguards is definitely better than 1. Plains down. Alright. Get our life back. Very nice. We'll make more tokens. We go back up to 16. Okay, so... Hold back on the Cat Collector there. If our opponent does have an answer, we can always just sacrifice our mites to draw some cards. Okay, so they finally have some poison counters. If we just get 1 more poison counter on them, then everything here gets lifelink and we'll definitely be in business. Alright, another island. Simulacrum Synthesizer. Oh, okay. So, that's what we're going to try to do. Our opponent is an affinity deck? They're going with artifacts. Interesting. Haven't seen this right now, so we'll see how this turns out. So they're going to start making constructs, which is a little scary, but that's okay, everybody. We still have ways of getting around things. Let us... I think we'll sacrifice a token. Sacrifice the food, draw a card. Okay, Helpful Hunter's not bad. Healer's Hawk is also good. So, Helpful Hunter. Draw a card. Essence Channeler is great too. Plains. Get some pump. We'll pump up our Essence Channeler now. Okay, so we swing. We'll hold back that. Just the tokens. Just the tokens. Obviously, their opponent's going to have to block one. They'll gain life, but that's not a big deal for us. We just want to turn on our mites. Okay. So, now our mites have lifelink, which is great. Simulacrum Synthesizer number 2. Okay. Well, they're getting bigger, which is going to be scary, but we definitely have at least tokens to block them for a bit. So, okay. Shields down against our opponent here. We finally have everything out of the way. They do. Okay. Well, I guess we just block there. We don't care about the Flesh Gorger getting life. We can always get back on that in a bit. Down to 16. They go up to 30. Make another mite. Draw a card. Okay. Helpful Hunter. Helpful Little Kitty Cat. Meow meow. Another one. Okay. Healer's Hawk. Alright. Gain some life back. At the very least, our engine is working again, so this is nice. And our opponent does not have a flying answer, so we can start getting hits in with Essence Channeler for free. Swing with Essence Channeler. We swing with our 2 mites. The life gain is mostly, again, just to keep everything up and running. Okay. They make another token. They block with both, which is fine. Down to 24. We gain some life back. Pump it up some more. Pass. I'm guessing they're going to have to start spending a ton of mana to start making a bunch of construct tokens. Okay. So they explore. Get another land. Siege the mirror.
I'm in danger!
What'd you get, opponent? Simulacrum Synthesizer number 3. Oh boy. We might be in trouble. I mean, granted, we're going very wide, but we need more tokens if we're going to have to start dealing with all these constructs. At least now our Essence Channeler can now start chump blocking as well. So, Essence Channeler here. And block the tokens. Guess also we'll have to sacrifice that. Okay, so, opponents. They make another copy of the token. We can now sacrifice a token to draw a card. Another Helpful Hunter's nice. Found it? Okay. So they lose their Phyrexian Flesh Gorger, which is okay. We still have an Essence Channeler, so that does give us at least a little bit of time to start digging for more stuff. Okay, we're down to 22. Okay, so well, at least we got a Johnny's Pride Man now. That's also another card we're definitely going to need to start going off. Helpful Hunter. Again, draw a card. Okay, Hinterland Sanctifier is nice. That'll help us start gaining life a ton. Okay, gain a bunch of life. Very nice. Very nice. There we go. Now we're going off. Now we got our pump. Alright, now we're definitely in business here. Okay, opponent, you don't have anything to block the flyers, so we're good to go here. They're down to 11. We're up to 36, so we're looking much better now. Okay. As long as, again, we can just keep chump blocking the constructs, we should be good to go. Phyrexian Flesh Gorger for full price. Whew! That's a little scary. Very scary right now. But we just need to at least survive the hit. That's all we have to do. Big swing from our opponent here. Okay, so, at this point, all we just do is just chump block everything. Chump block, chump block, chump block. Because our opponent has no way of getting around any of this. I mean, granted, we did lose a ton of creatures there, and those constructs are frightening, but they don't have a flyer. So they can just do their little shenanigans here, and that won't really help them at all. Sure, opponent. Go ahead. That's fine. Our Essence Channeler still gains life and flies. You know what? I'll put down the Helpful Hunter that doesn't really do anything. It just helps us gain some more life. Pumps up our Essence Channeler again. Sure, draw another card. Skrell's Hive. There. There you go, our opponent. And with that ends it right there. We got our opponent despite all those constructs. Yes. No flyer means that was an easy victory for us there. Whew, that was a little scary for a second, but we got there. Oh man, this deck is actually great. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. Can we gain a bunch of life in Standard? Well, the good news is we definitely can with this hand, so we'll be able to start building up our little army of tokens and creatures. We don't have a Leyline in hand, but that's perfectly fine. Put our planes down first, and we'll put on Leon and Vanguard. We should be gaining some life very soon. We also have a crazy cat lady, so that'll create us for a bunch of tokens. Heartfire Hero. Okay, so this might be decent for us. We will start building up our army. Let's see, so let's swing first. I doubt they will block, because they're going to want to keep their mouse open to start pumping it up. Yep, down to 19. We're still at 20. Manifold Mouse. Ooh, that might be a little scary for us, but we will try to see if we can bounce around that. We will have to be very quick, though, with our life gain. Okay, we go down to 18, go down to 16. Our token does make us go down to 15 for just a moment, but that's okay. So, we will do it this way. Healer's Hawk. And Essence Channeler. Gain some life. Pump up the Essence Channeler. We swing with our Vanguard. Go down to 17, opponent. We stay at 16 stable. Now, all we have to do is just start gaining a ton of life back, and we should be fine. Slick Shot Show Off. Wow, they actually played it directly. Okay. So they will pump up their Heartfire Hero again. They'll probably have one pump spell in hand. Oh, wow, okay. 2 swings here. Might of the Meek. Okay. Is that enough to beat us? Okay, down to 12. We're down to 5. Down to 4. Okay, so how do we get out of this at all? Okay, Inspiring Overseer. We'll gain 1 life, draw a card. Pump up the Essence Channeler. Pump it up again. Okay, so Healer's Hawk, Essence Channeler. Down to 11, opponents. We gain some more life. Okay, so although the Essence Channeler is grounded, we do have ways at least of chump blocking a little bit longer. Slick Shot Show Off, number 2. Okay. I don't know if we can survive this here, but we'll try. Okay, Manifold Mouse is doing its thing. If they get trample on it, we are dead. But we will try here. Opponent. Okay, they did back off with their Manifold Mouse. So, with that, block a Slick Shot Show Off. We will block the Heartfire Hero. Okay, is that enough? Did you beat us, opponents? Might of the Meek. So they did get trample, so I think that pretty much means we're dead.
Well, this stinks.
Turn inside out. Okay, yep, that's it. We're done. Well, we tried, everybody. To be fair, this is the best deck in Standard right now. Oh, actually, hold on one second here. Put on those. Okay. I think I have an idea for a future little trick there that I realized I should have done, but I kind of messed up on. I realized what I should have done was kept on the backswing. Healer's Hawk did not swing with it. If Essence Channeler died, those counters would have gone on Healer's Hawk, and we actually could have survived the hit. But, okay. Hindsight is 20/20. We'll get him next time. No big deal. And there you have it, Ray. So that was our mono white life gain for you in the Standard format. And you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Would you play this deck in any way, shape, or form? Truth be told, putting out Leyline of Hope at the very start of the game does make a big difference in depending on how well you're going to do in the match. So it can be a little swingy, but even if you don't have that in the early game, you do have a very consistent game plan here that can definitely trigger off a lot of your abilities by going big or going wide. Now, of course, having said all that, you probably can figure out what the biggest weakness to the deck is. If your opponent is very, very efficient with their removal, you're going to have a bad time with this deck because we are relying all on creatures to get our whole game plan off. If there's ways that they can turn off our enter the battlefield triggers, that also means that you're going to be struggling for quite a bit. The only other major thing I would also be aware of is there are some decks out there that can loop certain things to keep bouncing away your tokens and creatures, which also will put you in a frustrating spot. Now, having said all that, I would definitely say that, however, if you do want to play something that's super budget and super fun, this is definitely going to be the deck I would recommend. But what if you want to take this to the next level? Well, if you made it this far into the video, you are my true fiery friends, and as a thank you for that, you're going to see right now the upgrades I would recommend for you to show you how much better this deck can truly be. Now, if you do want to upgrade the deck, here's what I'm going to recommend for you. So we're going to trim some copies of Skrell's Hive. We're going to add in copies of Dollmaker Shop / Porcelain Gallery. The 6-drop slide is not slide we're going to care too much about, but if we do manage to get to that, that'll be a really, really nice way to help finish off our opponent if the game goes super duper long. But Dollmaker Shop is a little more consistent when it comes to then giving some toy creature tokens just to help us out here, and also will not chip away at our life. And in terms of, again, some extra spells that we can utilize, we're going to put in copies of Enduring Innocence and Delaney Streetwise Lookout. What this means is you'll be trimming away 1 Cat Collector and also your Angels to give us a little bit more consistency with card draw that we kind of have in this deck, but we don't have enough of to ensure that we can just keep churning through our deck. Even if the Enduring Innocence dies, the other benefit, of course, to the card is it'll come back as just a pure enchantment back onto the battlefield. So it's very hard for your opponent to get rid of, and again, it's providing extra card draw. As far as upgrades to your land base, there's not really much else we can do. We're just going to add in a single copy of the Merrick's. This is mostly to make mites if we have nothing else better to do with our lands. And then after that, if you're looking at trying to upgrade your sideboard here, here's what I would also recommend for you. So we're going to trim away a Requisition Raid. We're going to keep in, however, the Lorenz Escape and the Soul Guide Lanterns. We're going to add in copies of Dawn's Truth here. So we're going to get rid of Make a Stand here. This is a cheaper card to have, and also it gives us a bit more flexibility with how we want to protect our whole game plan. We'll then throw in the more consistency by adding in Get Lost here is a much more faster removal option for us. That's a lot easier, more consistent. And then finally, a single copy of Invasion Goblicon here just to slow down our opponent for key cards they may have, and also gives us a bit more pump in the long game. And then finally, that 1 copy of Requisition Raid we trimmed is going to make way for Lauren of the Third Path here. So when it enters, you can destroy a target artifact or enchantment. And also, it does provide some card draw if we really, really need to do that in a pinch. And with that all out of the way, here are my final thoughts that I want to give on the deck. Overall, Mono White Life Gain is back, and it honestly does just as well as it did in years past. Granted, there are a lot of pieces here that are a lot different from the original game plans, but a lot of the core pieces thankfully came back to us in Standard from Foundation. So we have just enough here, as you saw today, that you could put together something that is not only budget friendly, but also very effective against opponents who are not prepared for it. To put it another way, if you're a fan of anti-aggro, if you're a fan of life gain strategies that can help pump up your team or otherwise help them go wide, or if you're a fan of fast strategies that sometimes can throw off your opponent's game plan by just rebuilding wrath after removal after wrath, then I would definitely say give this deck a try. And I assure you, when you gain all the life in the world, you're going to have a lot of fun doing so. You'll be very surprised that you can pull this off on a budget, and you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later!